It's late. Too late to pretend you're not thinking about her again. You're staring at your phone, not because you expect a message, but because some part of you is still imagining what it would feel like if her name suddenly lit up your screen. If this is you, you're not alone. You keep telling yourself she's moved on, that she's laughing somewhere, busy, happy, untouched, like you never mattered. But then why does it hit you in the gut every time her name crosses your mind? Why does your chest tighten in that same familiar spot, the one you thought healed by now? Maybe this hits closer than you expected, because you've been trying to convince yourself she's over you, trying to force your mind to swallow a story your heart doesn't actually believe. And you notice the small things, the things you never admit. That weird pause before you open Instagram. That quiet hope you kill every time you unlock your phone. That tiny sting when someone mentions her casually like she wasn't once your entire world. You don't say it out loud, but it bothers you more than you let on. You replay conversations. You overanalyze the way she looked at you that last day. You remember the way her voice cracked, even if she tried to hide it. You remember the way she avoided eye contact, like looking at you would make walking away harder. And deep inside, there's this whisper you keep shoving down. If she's over me, why does this still feel unfinished? You don't tell anyone that part. Instead, you say stuff like, it's whatever, or I'm cool with it, or she's probably already moved on. But at night, around this exact hour, the truth leaks through the cracks. When the room feels too quiet, when even your heartbeat feels too loud, when you scroll just a little too far back in your gallery by accident, when one old memory hits harder than you thought it would, when you wonder if she ever stops mid-laugh the way you do, or if she ever wakes up with that same weight in her chest. And here's the wild part, the part you don't want to think about. If she was really over you, why does she still show up in your mind with that same clarity? Why hasn't time blurred her edges? Why do her favorite songs still feel like they belong to both of you? Why does the silence still feel shared? Maybe you've been fighting the wrong question this whole time. Maybe it's not about whether she's over you. Maybe it's about something deeper, something you haven't faced yet. Because the signs you've been ignoring, the little glitches in her behavior, the sudden distance that doesn't feel clean, the way she hasn't fully removed you from her world, even if she pretends she has, they're all pointing somewhere you haven't dared to look. So before you tell yourself she's done for good, before you bury the feeling you keep dodging, ask yourself this: what if the reason you still feel her this strongly is because she still feels you too, and she's trying just as hard to hide it? Listen, slow down for a second. I'm not here to hype you up or tell you some dramatic story. I'm talking to you like an older brother would. Steady, grounded, no noise. Because you're making a mistake most men make. A mistake I've made. One almost every guy makes when a woman pulls away. You look at her silence, her distance, the way she posts more, or smiles a little harder in pictures, and you jump to the same conclusion. She's over me. But that's not how it works. Not with real connection. Not with real history. Not with the kind of energy that leaves a mark. Here's the first thing you're misunderstanding. Women don't get over a man the way you think. Not suddenly, not cleanly, not in that cold switch, flipped way you're imagining while you sit alone in your room, staring at the ceiling fan moving slow in the dark. When a woman cares, even a little, she doesn't detach in a straight line. It comes in waves, sharp then soft, angry then nostalgic, silent then curious. You think her silence means she's moved on. But silence is usually a woman's processing facey, her trying to rebalance her world, her testing herself. Do I miss him? Or do I miss the comfort? Do I still feel something? Or am I forcing myself to stop? Most guys don't see this happening because men process differently. We go quiet for a night, hit the gym twice, distract ourselves, and call it acceptance. But she doesn't numb her heart that way. She feels it over and over, until it dulls. Then it comes back out of nowhere. Let me give you something real for a second, something you've probably lived through. You know that moment when you're washing your hands and your mind suddenly brings her back. Not her face, not the big moments, but something tiny, like the way she pushed her hair behind her ear when she was nervous, or the way she said your name when she was tired. You don't choose that memory. It hits you out of nowhere. She gets those too, more often than you think. But here's where men get confused. Just because she isn't acting on those moments doesn't mean she doesn't feel them. A lot of women don't come back right away because they're trying to protect their pride, or they're scared of repeating the same pain, or they're waiting to see if you actually meant what you said when you walked away. You assume she's done, but most times she's conflicted. Let me break another myth while we're here. If she's posting more, if she looks happier, if she's staying busy, if she's suddenly fine, that's not her being over you. That's her trying to outrun the parts that still remember you. People run fastest when something behind them still has weight. Look closer, not at the pictures, not at the captions, but at what isn't there, who she isn't with, what she isn't saying, the gap between her smiles, the way she avoids talking about anything close to the truth. An older brother would tell you this straight. When a woman is over you, truly over you, she doesn't act different. She becomes indifferent. You're not seeing indifference, you're seeing effort. Effort to separate, effort to control the story, effort to look okay. There's a difference. And let me throw a masculine principle at you here, one most men learn lady. A man misreads a quiet woman because he thinks her silence works like his. It doesn't. Her silence is emotional noise. Yours is emotional escape hours. She's not escaping anything. She's wrestling with it. Here's another principle. Circle. As a woman who's over you doesn't monitor herself around you. A woman who still feels something does. That means she avoids your stories, avoids your name, avoids mutual places, avoids anything that might pull her back. People don't avoid things they don't care about. And if you think none of that applies to her, let me ask you something. Why is your chest tightening every time you think of her? Why are you still replaying the moments she cried, even if they were small? Why are you feeling this much if you believe she feels nothing? Connection isn't one-sided, even the painful kind. You're imagining she's moved on because it hurts less to think she's gone than to accept she might still feel you, but doesn't know what to do with it. Let me tell you a memory you've probably lived. You ever stand in the kitchen late at night, open the fridge for no reason, the cold air hitting your face, and for a split second, you swear she's still part of your life, like you could call her, like things aren't actually over, like there's still a thread left between you and her. That feeling, she gets that too. Maybe not at the same time, but it hits her. She's not over you, not in the way you're imagining, not in the clean, chapter closed way you're scared of, but the real question, the one you keep avoiding, the one that matters more than whether she's over you or not, is this: if she still feels you, even a little, what does that say about what the two of you actually had? He didn't expect her face to hit him tonight. Not after the week he'd had. Not after telling himself he was finally good. But there he was, standing in the glow of the refrigerator light at 1:17 a.m., cold air brushing against his forearms, bare feet on the kitchen tile frozen. Because for some reason, her laugh, the soft one she tried to hide, showed up in his head like someone whispered it right behind him. He shut the fridge. The room went dark, and the silence felt heavier than it should. He walked back to his room, that slow, dragged-out walk a man does when he's thinking too much. Phone on the table, screen off. Still, he kept looking at it, like it might move on its own. If she was over me, why do I still feel this? He didn't say it out loud. He didn't need to. He sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, palms pressed together. That posture men take when they're trying not to break, not dramatically, just quietly. That tired, worn out kind of thinking. And then another memory hit. Not the big one, not the fight, not the goodbye. Something stupid. The way she used to rest her hand on his chest when she asked a serious question. Light, warm. Barely there, but it always made his heartbeat slow down. Why that memory? Why now? He leaned back, exhaled hard. Across the city, she sat on her bed too. Window cracked open, cold air slipping in. She didn't expect to think of him either. But she caught herself saying his name under her breath. Not intentionally, just muscle memory. Habit she thought she broke. She grabbed her pillow tighter. That familiar sting in the chest. That quiet ache she kept pretending wasn't real. She wanted to text him, didn't. Locked her phone, face down. And for a second, just a second, she wondered if he still thought about her. Or if she was the only one stuck in this in-between place. Not with him, not free of him. Both rooms. Two different spaces. Same heaviness. He didn't know it. But while he was staring at his ceiling, she was staring at hers, replaying the look he gave her that last day. The one she pretended she didn't notice because if she did, she wouldn't have been able to walk away. And somewhere between those two silences, his and hers, a truth hung in the air neither of them could escape. If she was really over him, why did his absence still feel like something she had to fight? A lot of guys carry the same quiet beliefs after she pulls away. They don't say them out loud, but they live by them. And those beliefs hurt more than the breakup ever did. One of the big ones. If she's not talking to me, she's done with me. I used to think that too. Back when I sat on my balcony at night, city lights humming in the distance, convincing myself that her silence meant she didn't feel anything. But silence isn't the clean answer men imagine. Sometimes silence is someone trying not to break in front of you. Sometimes silence is someone thinking too much. Sometimes silence is someone hoping you don't reach out, because if you do, they'll fall right back in. Here's the truth you don't want to hear. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. You got so focused on reading her signals that you stopped noticing your own. Stopped noticing the way your stomach dropped when you saw her story. Stopped noticing how much you depended on her reactions to feel grounded. That's not her being over you. That's you being disconnected from you. Another belief men choke on. If she looks happy without me, it means I never mattered. I remember watching someone I cared about post the brightest smile I'd seen all year, and I swear, for a moment, it felt like someone punched a hole through my ribs. But later I found out that same picture was taken after she cried in her car for 20 minutes. Happiness online doesn't mean she never cared. It means she's trying to keep herself standing, trying to breathe, trying to erase the things that still sting. There's this quiet truth. You don't lose her. You lose your own presence. When you're centered, when you're solid, when you're grounded in your own direction, you stop reading her happiness as an attack on your worth. You start to see it for what it is, a human being coping. And then there's the belief almost every man secretly holds. If she hasn't come back by now, she never will. But people don't return on schedules. They return when their illusions break. They return when their pride softens. They return when the story they told themselves stops matching the H they feel at night. I once had someone tell me months later that the reason she didn't reach out was simple. It scared me how much you still affected me. Think about that. Her distance wasn't rejection. It was fear. Fear of repeating old wounds. Fear of opening a door she wasn't ready to walk through. Last one, the harshest belief of all. If I give her space, she'll forget me. No. Space doesn't erase impact. It reveals it. Space shows you what was real and what was routine. And here's one more truth arrow for you. Attention is cheap. Respect is priceless. When you give space with respect, not bitterness, not desperation, people feel it. They remember it. It stands out in a world full of noise and rush. You don't need to force her to think of you. She already does in ways she'll never admit. And if you let go of these beliefs, gently, not angrily, you might finally notice something. She's not over you. You've just been too hurt. too distracted, too afraid to see the signs for what they really are. Most men panic. They feel the distance, the silence, the shift in her tone, and they collapse inside. They start imagining worst-case scenarios, scrolling, checking, reacting, overthinking until they forget they even have a center. But the 1% headman, he moves different. This is what he understands. Silence isn't a threat. Space isn't rejection. Distance isn't proof that she's over him. He knows most people pull away not because they're done, but because they're overwhelmed, confused, trying to hold themselves together. The average man chases the moment he feels that. He doubles text. He gets louder. He gets smaller. He loses himself trying to fix the energy. But the headman, he breathes. Actually breathes, slows his shoulders, lets the heartbeat settle. He doesn't rush to fill the space. He lets it teach him something. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. Like the night he sees her online but doesn't message. Not out of ego. Not out of games. Out of clarity. Because he knows that impulse, that tightness in the chest isn't love. It's fear, and he refuses to act from fear. Or the morning he wants to check her page, but doesn't. Not because he's trying to appear strong. Because he is strong enough to choose where his attention goes. He understands something simple. What you feed grows. What you chase runs. The headman doesn't chase, he anchors. He chooses patience over panic, like when she takes hours to reply, and instead of spiraling, he makes breakfast, goes to the gym, finishes his work, not pretending he doesn't care, just refusing to abandon himself. This is what he understands. You can't control her process, but you can control your posture. Most men fold inward. He stands taller. Most men cling to reassurance. He builds it from within. Most men need answers now. He's okay letting things unfold without forcing them. There's this moment. It happens to him too. When a memory hits hard, maybe her laugh, maybe the way she looked at him that last morning, and for a second he feels that sting, that ache. But he doesn't drown in it. He lets it pass through, like weather. He knows feelings don't make decisions. Character does. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. By staying rooted even when she's unsure. By choosing steadiness when most men choose fear. By remembering his value even when she's confused about hers. The average man thinks the question is, is she over me? The 1% headman knows the real question is, am I grounded enough to let her feelings take their natural path without losing myself in the process? It happened in a small, forgettable moment. He was sitting on the floor beside his bed, back against the wall, the room dim except for the thin stripe of light sneaking in under the door. His phone was in his hand again, screen black, heavy, like it was judging him. He wasn't crying, wasn't angry, just tired in a way that sat deep in the bones. A vibration in his chest, not from the phone, from memory. Her laugh, the way she once held his wrist lightly when she wanted him to stay a little longer. The softness, then the confusion, then the slow distance. It all rushed in at once. He exhaled, long, controlled. Let the memories pass like cars in the rain. Loud for a second, then fading. His own voice quiet, almost accidental. I can't keep shrinking for what's unsure. The words surprised him. He looked at his hands. The same hands he used to steady her. And it hit him. The weight of everything he'd been carrying alone. A stillness settled over the room. Not peace. Not victory. Just clarity. He set the phone down, not gently, not angrily, just enough. And in that small, silent moment, he remembered something he hadn't felt in a long time. He mattered too. You keep telling yourself she's over you. But look at your own chest. The way it tightens when her name drifts through your mind. Look at the silence between you two. It doesn't feel finished. It feels paused, interrupted. Like a sentence that never got its last word. She feels that too, even if she hides it better. Even if she runs from it harder, maybe she's not gone. Maybe she's just trying to outrun the part of her that still remembers you. And maybe the real truth is this. If you still echo inside her, she was never over you to begin with.